Today's video, I'm going to show you how to remove a rear wheel on a V-Star 650. Classic and custom are about the same. The only difference is with the Classic you may have to remove the fender if you don't have a lift. If you have a lift you can slide the tire right out from underneath. So they're essentially the same video. One thing to note is I do have a lift and I do strap the bike just so it doesn't fall off when I remove the tire, because the balance will definitely be off once that tire comes off. So the first step in removing the rear wheel is to remove the rear brake rod connecting to the lever for the drum brake. All you do is unscrew the adjustment rod, and then when you pull the tire back, the whole assembly will come apart. So you're going to pull the tire back and this will fall off the rod. Next step is to remove the 4 nuts that hold on the final drive assembly. These are 14mm nuts. Just remove them and just keep track of which one came out of which hole. Okay, once those 4 bolts are removed, you're going to loosen up the rear axle nut. The rear axle nut's a 19mm. You don't want to take this all the way off, you just want to loosen it up because the wheel's going to slide back. Okay, I've removed all the pieces that need to be removed, and now the wheel should just slide back through the slot, and basically there's you'll see a little notch here. You can rest the wheel on there before you actually pull it off, because you're going to pull the final drive shaft out of its housing, and that way swing around, so it's a little easier to put it here and kind of get your bearings. Now with the wheel back, basically it's just lifting it up and taking it off. That's pretty much it. There's your rear wheel. Now with the rear wheel off, you can slide the brake hub off with the axle. There's your brake shoes, and then on the other side, the final drive, we're going to pull that off. And here's the rear wheel totally disassembled. The reason I took mine off is I'm going to balance that wheel. That could be done. I can show you how to do that, but there's other videos on how to do that. I'll try and put a link to them on my video, how to balance. Okay, to put the wheel back together, you put the axle back through the brake assembly. Make sure you have your washer and your spacer in. And you're going to put that inside the bearing on the drum side. And that side's ready to go. Now you're going to turn it around and you're going to put the final drive on, which is going to require 2 hands, so I'm going to shut this off and come back when I'm ready to put the wheel on the bike. Now you'll see the final drive's on the wheel, and I have it ready to be lifting up into the bike. I'm going to take the axle, and I'll put the axle right up here on this little lip on both sides. Again, it's required 2 hands, so I will, and when you're doing it, you got to thread the shaft into the hole, so it's a lot of work to do while holding the camera. So we'll put the camera down and get the wheel up there. Okay, the rear wheel's back on the bike. These 4 screws are back in, and the axle nut. These 4 screws get torqued to 70 Newton meters, and the axle nut gets torqued to 92 Newton meters. So once you have this all back in, the shaft in the housing, the 4 nuts in, and then the axle nut and the axle on, slide in the bike, you're all the way up into the seating. And one mistake I made was I put this piece backwards. I had to take it off and turn it around because I had greased the splines. Other than that, it's ready to be buttoned up on this side, and then I'll show you how to put the brake assembly back together on the other side. Okay, everything's back together. I tightened up these bolts, but I left the axle nut loose because on the other side you're going to have to swing the drum brake to get it aligned. So wait to tighten this up until you're all the way done. One thing to note is there's a gap around here. You want to make sure that's even at the 3, 6, 9, 12 positions. If it's not, this thing's going to start making noises. You're going to wonder what it is. If it's out of alignment, you have to shim behind these bolts on the other side to try and get it even. It's probably a real pain in the butt. I haven't had to do it yet. I've had this back wheel part a few times and I've never had to mess with it. So I think you're pretty good if you just take it apart, put it back together. I don't think you're going to have any trouble. So we'll go around the other side of the bike, and hopefully this drum is loose enough to spin. It is. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the part I lost. Hold on, I'll be back. I gotta find it. Okay, I'm back. You should be able to swing this housing now because the axle nut isn't tightened yet. So what you're going to do first is this part with the hole in it. You're going to slide this through and put that threaded rod through that hole. This is impossible to do with one hand, so I'm going to have to put the camera down. Okay, so I got the assembly together. The pin, the rod, the spring, and the nut. And then I put this bolt and nut in. One trick to doing this is to just put a clamp on the brake pedal down. It makes it a little easier to get the rod through. You can now adjust the brake because the pedal's down. You can adjust it pretty close. You're going to want the brake up because you want full compression when you push the brake pedal. So I'm going to let the brake pedal down. I'm going to adjust this so that I get the proper pedal feel that I like when I'm riding to apply the brake. Other than that, that's pretty much the last thing we have to do, and that pretty much concludes the rear wheel. Well, it doesn't really. I gotta tighten up. I gotta tighten up the axle bolt. Once I do that, I'll be done. So don't forget to tighten up your axle bolt. That's it.